Hello, welcome to this episode of the Yoga Lawyer Show. What are we talking about this week, Katie?
We're talking about the First Lady's initiative.
Be Best.
Be Best.
Be Best. She unveiled it yesterday, and it is an initiative. What is it all about?
It's about cyberbullying, the opioid crisis. It's kind of a general initiative, which is interesting in contrast to previous First Ladies who had a more focused initiative. Like Michelle Obama's was on healthy eating and lifestyle for children. So this one is more broad, but it's kind of interesting, so we're going to talk about it.
Well, yeah, and one of the three pillars, because she talked yesterday and said there's three pillars of the initiative. The first being well-being, which would encompass sort of some of the things that Michelle Obama's encompassed as well, like healthy living, kindness, encouragement. And then the second pillar is social media, which would include things like you said, the cyberbullying and just being aware of what we're posting on social media and being nicer to each other on social media. And then the last is the opioid crisis and how that affects children, both through pregnancy, kids are born sometimes addicted to opioids, and then also the exposure that they have to opioids as they grow older.
That one's not surprising because of the administration's stance on the opioid crisis. And the middle one, the cyberbullying one, is the one that's getting the most attention.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Why is that? Why is that one getting so much attention?
Because we live in an era where you can be so awful on the internet and it's kind of the norm.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Who she's married to,
Who's she married to?
Just this little man, the president.
The president of the United States.
And he's not the nicest person on the internet.
No, he's not. And actually, I wanted to read a quote from her
speech.
website, or this is actually from the website, because she might have said it in her speech too, but if you go to, there's a Be Best website on the White House page, or a Be Best page on the White House website, and she says, as far as the social media pillar, that we want to encourage kids, through our actions, by being an example, and to encourage them to choose their words wisely and speak with respect and compassion.
She's speaking to parents.
So that's the thing, a lot of people, including myself, the first thing I think of is, wow, we're not always doing that, and neither are our leaders, like the president.
Or just leaders in the media.
In general, we're mean to each other. We're really mean to each other. And it's like become the norm. It's become acceptable. Look, we don't have to agree with everything that everyone says, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, don't.
We shouldn't agree, but there's got to be a nicer way to say it than name-calling, which the president often resorts to name-calling. Anybody that attacks him, he attacks back with fervor and, makes up a nickname, a mean-spirited name for them. And we're no better because he is a reflection of us. He was elected to represent us, and he wouldn't have been elected if we weren't okay with these things on some level. We, as the citizens of America, each of us individually need to be better we need to be best. Really, we do. We need to be nicer to each other. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with or like everybody that we encounter online, but we have to be able to express our opposition in ways that aren't mean-spirited. And that's the only way anything's going to change. It's the only way we're going to get laws changed that we want, issues that we want to be heard. They're not heard. You're not heard by the opposing side when you're angry and mean.
But to be heard, you have to start by hearing.
Yes, that's a good point.
So sometimes if you want somebody to hear you, you have to listen. Otherwise, you just have contentment.
I think that's
contention.
Something. I know what you're trying to say. But yeah, so it was admirable. Her initiative is admirable, and hopefully it will go somewhere and it'll make a change in the world, which I'm sure what she wants with it. I don't know what else. What are we? We were talking. You started to say about how she's maybe unfairly compared to the other First Lady's initiative.
I like her. I do. I like her. She's very intelligent. She knows 5 languages, which is 4 more than I know. And
3 more than me.
She's definitely okay. She's definitely. I think that she has a kind of. I don't know her, obviously, but I think that she has a kind of purity and respect for this office that maybe he doesn't even have. So I was watching MSNBC yesterday at the dentist. And and they were talking about it, how she chose to not be in the spotlight because of Barron, her son. They wanted to stay in New York until his school year was finished, so she just moved into the White House last June. And we haven't seen much of her, but the things we have seen of her, she hasn't done anything wrong. She's
Nothing that's garnered media attention. In other words, like she's not
Yeah.
causing controversy. Like
She's-
she's not making missteps in the same way that, you know, President Trump's on the news every other week with something that's angering one side or the other. And yeah, she's largely stayed under the radar.
Yeah, except for when she's done things that people have liked. Like she spoke out after the Charlottesville. She spoke to a crowd after that, and then she went and helped out after Hurricane Harvey. And the worst thing that happened was that she wore high
She
heels.
wore high heels. Everybody
Yeah, which
flipped
is kind of
out.
ridiculous. I'm thinking about it, and after watching that segment and hearing her speech and her initiative, like, is that really the First Lady's job? I mean,
What?
I get that we were just talking about this, but I get that it's the First Lady, but she didn't run for office.
Oh, you mean to create these initiatives, whether it's their job?
It's
or
not fair to compare her.
Oh, to compare to other First Ladies' initiatives. Like we
Yeah.
started out talking about Michelle Obama's initiative, and you can look at.
Yeah, Michelle Obama was a very highly respected attorney. Melania's not.
Yeah,
she's
not
intelligent.
She's not a politician.
She's not a politician. It's not fair for us to expect her to be the next Michelle Obama, like the next person in the succession. And I don't know much about Laura Bush or
Hillary
any
Clinton.
of the, yeah. I mean,
Nancy
Hillary
Reagan.
Clinton, obviously. I didn't even think of her. Like, of course, she's got the most experience probably of any First Lady ever. So, I mean, it's not. Is it really fair? I don't know.
What there's like this pressure on them to come up with an initiative, and then it's going to be judged, and it's going to be compared to prior
Yeah.
First Ladies. No, that's not fair at all.
Because
It's
we were
not
kind of
fair.
judging her initiative a little bit. We were like, oh, this is kind of frilly. But
I mean, yeah, when she puts herself out there, she's going to be judged. And yeah, that's not fair. It really isn't. But that's just sort of the nature of having a
I
husband that's
guess.
the president.
Thank you.
But I mean, I like her initiative. I hope that it really does help out. I think she's got, some good pillars all these things are important. Well-being, of our children, social media. And social media is a huge thing for us as adults to be setting a better example. Like, I implore everybody out there, like, in what ways can we be nicer to each other? I'm in several local political groups on Facebook, in my little community, and it's like we're constantly back and forth at each other, name calling. Like now, it's considered calling names to call someone a liberal or even a conservative.
It's the tone.
It's like ridiculous. It's like, wow, why don't we just talk about what we disagree about without getting angry, because that's not the way to make change.
And they probably don't even know what a liberal is.
I don't know. I'm not sure what it is.
I mean, a liberal in this context is different than a liberal in like a political science context.
Yeah, that's so true.
So it's funny when somebody's like, you dirty liberal. And I'm like, you're not actually insulting me.
Because you're thinking of it in the political science
Yeah.
context, not in whatever way they mean it.
Yeah, I don't know how they mean it. I guess it's just a mean word. Because it doesn't have any meaning to them. They
No.
don't know what a liberal is. Or usually, they don't know what a liberal stands for. They only know what their side has said, which might not be the actual truth.
So what do you do? Like, so someone's screaming. I mean, people say that about me. I'm like, I don't identify with that word. First of all, I consider myself an independent, and I know what you're saying in the context of political science. Maybe if I looked at the definition of liberal, I'd be like, oh yes, I am that. But when someone's calling me that online for a reason, it's not like something I don't own that name. But what do you do if someone's calling you names online? It seems like that what people do is call names back, like
Yeah.
rather than just take it and shift or try to get to the meat of what they're saying, we instead feel the instinctive need to attack back, and that's the problem. Because when I was on last week, I raised on one of these social media groups, I was like, maybe we should just be nicer to each other. I mean, I said it a lot more eloquently, and the responses I got were that we would like to, but the other side's so mean to me that I can't be nice back. I have to be mean back, and it's
You
like
can't
that's
fight
the
fire
problem.
with fire. You just create a bigger fire.
Yes, so it has to stop and start somewhere. So
Be the change.
be the change you want to see in the world.
Be best.
Be best. There we go. Why don't we end on that and leave it open for comments as usual, and we can see where the First Ladies would like to follow up and kind of see where this goes, and hopefully maybe she will be instrumental in seeing internet change, because that is the big thing. I feel like the rise
The
of the
internet is it's such a huge spot in our life.
and it's really what's kind of made us meaner in a lot of ways, because before the internet we weren't screaming at our neighbors. Like, you weren't walking down the street going, you liberal, you conservative, or whatever mean names, you know. You would have
We
to be
knew
more
our
civil
neighbors.
to each other. But like on the internet, yeah, there's a wall there. You don't see the other person, so you feel a lot more empowered to be just angry and mean. Where if you actually had to look someone in the eye, you probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, especially if they're carrying a gun.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So we'll leave it at that maybe for today, unless you can think of anything else. We got it. That's
No,
it.
we got it. We want comments though.
Yes, so leave us feedback and leave us ideas for other episodes.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear those. And make sure to subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. All right, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching the Yoga Lawyer video.